Hola, bienvenidos. Hello, I am Melia Ben Susan. So honored to be your artistic director and so glad you could join us for another episode of Seen and Heard. I'm looking at my notes because I lose track of where we are in the season or in the week or in my life. Welcome to our fourth episode of Seen and Heard this season. We're thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be here and to invite you with the director and part of the cast of our next play, Laughs in Spanish. Lo van a disfrutar, pero de lo max. You're gonna just love this. It's a snapshot of Cuban and Colombian American life, deeply, deeply funny. It takes place in Miami's Wynwood district on the eve of Art Basel. And thanks to our wonderful marketing department, we are actually in an art gallery here in Hartford. So Miguel, quiero hacerlo todo bien. We're in the Parkville Art Gallery, owned and curated by Puerto Rican artist Miguel José Matos. So gracias, Miguel. Saludos, Miguel. Yeah. And around us, you're gonna see the work of many local and contemporary artists, and we're just thrilled to be collaborating with the gallery and to have the artists here as part of the backdrop of our conversation for a play that takes place in an art gallery. So it's just very fitting. And now I'm gonna introduce the wonderful people to my right. So I have director Lisa Portes. Portes or?
Portes.
Portes. You know, it's very specific. And Maggie Bofil and Stephanie Machado. And so Stephanie and Maggie are in the play, and Lisa is the wonderful director of Laughs in Spanish. And I'm just thrilled you're here for this conversation. We are about to move into the theater. As we record this, we're getting ready for tech rehearsals. You've all heard me talk about this in the past. So we'll be in the theater next week, and we start previews 2 weeks. So we start previews on
Thursday the 6th.
Yeah, it'll be March, which I'm not ready for. We start previews March 6th and we open March 14th. And a quick reminder that previews means you get to come see the work while it's in process, right? We have performances in the evenings, rehearsals in the afternoon. These folks work extremely hard. It's an exciting time to come to the theater. And then we run until
March 30th.
March, you're good. Dates just, ay, mira, gracias.
Hey!
And Miguel is showing us a little art. Can we capture? Yeah.
Laughs in Spanish.
Mira.
Wow.
So, Dan, can you get a picture? Wait, Miguel, dale la vuelta so the camera can see it. All right, muchas gracias. That's what we're talking about. So, oh, bravo. Gracias, Miguel.
I love the colors.
Well, this is gorgeous. So now,
right?
Stephanie, we can put it aside if you want to. You don't have to spend the whole evening holding it.
You don't have to be Vanna White, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, but it's gorgeous.
Wow.
Mil gracias, Miguel.
Can I put it in my apartment?
Yeah.
Please.
Well, let me ask the three of you. It's such an exciting thing to have all of you here. What is Laughs in Spanish about? And it's going to be about different things to different people. I don't think I'm giving anything away to say it starts with an art heist, and we'll see what goes from there.
You stole my line.
There you go.
You stole my line.
I'm telling you.
Because it's about a heist. So
It's about a
stealing
heist.
is thematic.
Oh.
It's part art heist and part mother-daughter story. And the art heist part is it's Art Basel, and Stephanie, who plays Mariana. Mariana is a gallery owner, and it's on the eve of Art Basel. It's her big debut. The gallery has a fantastic exhibit going on, except at the top of the play,
the art is...
there is no art on the walls, and there should be art on the walls. So she's confronted with this tremendous problem of the art has been stolen. And then her mother swans in, who is a Colombian movie star, Estella. Her mother swans in to maybe save the day, or maybe there's something else going on.
Right.
But really, it's a story of, what does it mean to be a Latina and an artist trying to forge your way in the world? And what is the cost of being a mother and a passionate Latina artist who's dedicated to being really the top of her field? Dedicated to carving and forging a path that that nobody's forged before as a Latina movie star. which seems great, except what's the cost to the daughter?
And I will say, this is all done with so much humor, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
so
not really
playwright
serious.
Alexis Shear, a wonderful Latina playwright who we're thrilled to have on our stage as part of our continuing work with Latina artists, just finds so much humor in these situations.
Mira, anybody who has seen Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, understand, that's Almodovar, understand that the comedic possibilities of a movie star, a Colombian movie star mother and her art gallery owning half Colombian Jewish daughter.
Stressed out.
Stressed out daughter. I mean,
her stressed out.
Her stressed out, very important.
Very organized daughter. And an art heist. I mean, it is a fantastic mix, and it is funny in the way that I think Almodovar is funny.
I love that. I love that. Stephanie, why is she stressed out? Why? You just jump in
why
so
is she
naturally.
not stressed out?
Why are we all not stressed out?
I feel like, I feel like there's maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not maybe almost close to $1 million, that is of art that has been stolen at the top of the show. She is a planner, I would say, so it makes sense that something goes wrong and now all of a sudden her whole world explodes.
Right.
This is potentially the worst possible case, I probably could have never imagined something like this happening. And then my mom shows up, and we don't have the best relationship.
Pero mira esa cara.
I know, pero sí. She's so cute, but no.
Pero ella is a lot. She's a lot.
She is a lot, yeah.
Well, I'm a movie star. More like a movie planet.
That's awesome. That's, space needs to be taken up.
Yes.
Right?
And the show is supposed to happen, it all takes place in one day.
Yeah.
So that's also the ticking time bomb.
Yeah, because it's 7 o'clock. There's going to be the big reception for Marco Diaz, whose paintings are not there. So they've got to solve it in like 10 hours. Yeah. Not even, like 6 hours.
It's a wonderful setup, right? Because we have the art heist, we have the family relationships, we have friendships, and we have also this, there's an element of, not to give away one of my favorite jokes in the play, but the code switching that happens right within.
Yes.
So to just sort of jump right, I mean,
anybody who's Latino is totally going to get it. Like, who are you on the far? Are you like, oh yeah, hello, how are you? Or even just with each other being super, the way you are with each other, that you can flip back and forth between Spanish. And in this play, it's very pointedly shows how we choose which face we have to show the different world we're in, whether they're super white American or being with our friends or...
Which is so true for all of us, right? I mean, we're all doing versions. There's extreme versions for some, right? When you're really switching identities. But code switching, I feel like when I'm in a room that's only women, I behave in a certain way. When I'm in a very Jewish space, I might behave in, right? That's right. Latino spaces, Spanglish spaces. Yeah. I know that there's that. But you were going to say something, and I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say that within the Latina community, we're all when we see a moment like when you pick up the phone, we all know it. We're all in the inside joke. It's an inside joke, except in this production, we let the audience into the inside joke. And it is a dialect. Cynthia DeCure, who's our dialect coach, who's amazing. It's a dialect coach's dream because not only do we have the Latina dialects that are in the play, then we have the code switching, then we have a number of other voices that we've kind of peppered in, like your Bostonian. Your Bostonian.
So I have to do a Boston accent all of a sudden.
Are you doing
brand new?
The counselor, or the California mom, or you're just playing around with all these different.
So a dialect coach is a person that comes and joins a production, and their job is specifically how each actor sounds. And so depending on the actor's nationality, we have a wonderful dialect coach, Cynthia, who also was working with us on 2 Trains Running. And it's a gift to be able, right? It's training and talent to be able to channel the exact sounds of different cultures and also help with projection. At Hartford Stage, right? It's really about sound filling our theater. You also said a wonderful thing at Meet and Greet, which I loved, when we really fall into a trap with so many cultures of assuming a homogeneity in a culture.
Oh,
and
yes.
we do this all the time with Latina culture. And even in my intro, right, when I'm saying there's a lot of different Latine influences in this play.
Well, I really want to jump in on this because I think that,
Exactly.
you know, I think it's interesting in the United States because Latine is an idea that basically collects everybody of Latin American descent who's living in the United States into one thing. But anybody who is of Latin American descent knows Mexican is different from Puerto Rican, is different from Cuban, is different from Argentinian, is different from Colombian. And then within each of those nationalities, there's class, there is race, there is gender.
It's
So
like assuming the Irish, the Scottish, the British, the American, the Southern,
Or
the
the
New England,
Australians
and the Australian, and the
are
New
all the same.
Zealanders
Are
all
all the
sound
same.
the same or
Yeah,
have the same point of reference.
Exactly. So one of the things I love about dialect work is that in every show that I do, I direct a lot of Latina shows. Every show I do, I try to be very specific about dialect, reflecting again nationality, where in the United States you grew up, what class, race, etc. And it's really because I'm a sociologist's daughter. So my dad's
That's great.
my dad is a sociologist. For me, dialect is such a sociological kind of investigation and articulation of what's happening of the different kind of folks that are in the play.
That's wonderful. I should point out too, it's a play that, unlike some of the work we've done, this is a comedy in English. It's almost all entirely in English. There's a few phrases here and there, but you won't have any trouble understanding. So the wonder of this is how the dialect work on the English impacts.
That's exactly
What
right.
is the sound of English spoken, fluent English, spoken by someone from a slightly different background, class, country. I just love the music of the play.
That's what, like the Miami accent,
There's a
that's what it
Miami
is.
accent.
It's first generation. I mean, I was born and raised in Miami.
Okay,
it's
all right, so
first
tell us about
generation-
Miami.
Oh, I mean, it's a crazy place. But yeah, but first generation Americans living amongst these immigrants that have come to Miami, especially Cubans, right? But taking on the characteristics of all of these Spanish-speaking peoples. So actually their English, it has the same melody as Spanish, right? It has the same rhythms.
Do it.
Literally, pero like, oh my God. bro. Yeah, it's really fun.
That's amazing.
It's really fun.
Maggie, you've done so much work for this role, I know, but you know where I'm going.
No, I don't.
Oh, good. I feel like you're a brilliant comedian anyway, but can you talk a little bit about some of your preparation for this role, like who the people you studied?
Oh, yes.
We talked
wow.
about this when you came to do our season preview at Hartford Stage, and I just loved your answer. So I'm making you repeat it, even though you may not remember what you said.
I don't.
Well, there you go. It's a.
Well, this is the second time we're visiting this piece, and the first time I love Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball is my hero. I just watched episode after episode after episode. I also watched Dick Van Dyke because I love Dick Van Dyke. Just
Carol Burnett.
Comedy. Carol Burnett.
She watched Carol Burnett a lot.
Carol Burnett is
What is
a
it about
genius.
them?
Oh my God, she's a genius.
Yeah, I agree.
What is it about
I grew
them?
up hearing, I would watch from Mexico City, I would pray that the Carol Burnett show would come on Saturday night we had one cable channel. And I would just hope, and then her ear.
Oh, I know, to her grandmother. That was their secret code.
Can I just say, as a total tangent unrelated to this play, I wrote her a fan letter when I was 12 and I got a letter back.
Oh, no.
So thank you, Carol Burnett. She wrote 12-year-old me back in Mexico.
That's amazing.
But-
And I actually just saw Once Upon a Mattress with Sutton Foster, who was like channeling Carol Burnett. That was her big breakout
amazing.
show
Yeah,
in the
of course.
1950s. But what is it about these
Yeah,
women?
what is it that you were
And
looking
these-
for?
I think it's a sense of constant surprise that manifests not just musically, vocally, but also physically. Like they're continually going at things not quite the way you expect. And there's a sense of joy, the clown spirit is just so alive and
I love
One of the
that.
things that I see in her work is the kind of innocence and the child. Like the clown is an innocent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I love that you say
she doesn't-
surprise,
So
right?
she doesn't know she doesn't know the impact that she's having. She's just saying, let's put decorations on the desk.
Yeah, I love that. I love those words, you guys, because it really is. There's such a spirit in this play of joy and surprise and goodwill.
yeah.
Even though people aren't always being as good to each other as they could be,
No.
they're doing it. There's so much heart in every one of these characters.
And I want to bring up every one of these characters. I want to bring up a couple of their characters that we have
Wonderful.
not brought
It's a
up.
cast of 6.
5,
Five.
Cast of
It's a
5.
cast of 5.
right?
Yeah.
Am I missing somebody?
I think so.
I'm sorry. No, that's me.
Where's the extra stool?
Yeah, exactly.
It's 5.
It's 5. It's 5. And, you know, I mean, we talked about the mother-daughter story here, but one of the characters in the play, Caro, is an artist. She's an intern in the gallery. And she's an artist in her own right. And her boyfriend, who's a kind of Miami-Dade County cop, and also a sweetheart, they're together. And they, and I'm not going to give away what he did. And really, he's there to investigate the heist.
Right.
But Caro, at the top of the play, finds out that she's pregnant. And she's an artist, and she's trying to reconcile, like, how do I make my work and be a mom? And can you make your work and be a mom? And as somebody, you know, so there's this question, what do you have to give up? And then there's another question, which is it possible? And we have lived that life. I mean, we have lived that life. We're both mothers and we're Latinas. And we know, I mean, when I read this play, I was like, oh my God. I think I sent it to you almost right away.
Oh.
Because because we know that, yes, of course you can be a mother and an artist, but it's not of course. There's actually kind of how you forge that path is unique and complex and funny.
I know I keep saying it's funny.
It's
'Cause
funny.
I love how funny it is.
It is funny, but it is funny. Like, I
Right.
mean, if I look at my life, I look at the different things. Like, I mean, definitely there's been some tough moments, but there's also just been like moments where my kids have just been like in circumstances that are, you know, funny.
Somebody, I
Like, they used to
forget
play
which
Hamlet.
Greek
When they were
said
kids, they used to play Hamlet.
They used to play
the
Hamlet.
ghost. Yeah.
that tragedy is about the difficult, comedy is about the unbearable.
Oh, that's good.
Tragedy is about the difficult, comedy is about the unbearable.
Oh, I love
Which
that.
in a way makes deep, deep emotional sense, and why I think we love comedy.
Yeah.
Because there's so much pain underneath things, right? And then I think of all the other comments about comedy, right? Somebody said, and one of you watching this is gonna hopefully tell me in the lobby when you see the show who said this. When you slip on a banana peel, it's funny. When I slip on a banana peel, it's a tragedy, right? It's something, I think it's like a Groucho line. If you slip on a banana peel and die, it's a comedy. If I slip on a banana peel and hurt myself, it's a tragedy.
That's good.
But there is something about this form that allows the complexity of family relationships to be thrown up in the air and kind of bounced around in a...
Because we all have families.
Right.
Like we all have families and we all have complexities. These are particular complexities,
Right.
but we all have complexities, and that's why there's so many comedies about it.
So you three were part of the very first production of this play. And this was exciting for us, knowing, as Lisa pointed out, we go way back, and I had the privilege of known Alexis Shear, the playwright, since she was a grad student at BU. So this felt really natural as something to bring to Hartford Stage. And we have a large Puerto Rican and Dominican community, a large Latina community, which I think will really, I hope everyone will come in and enjoy this production. But for you guys, it was very special to bring the people who've originated this play. Can you talk about what it's like? You did it the very first time this play was ever done, and now it's all of you mostly. It's a different production because it's a completely different shaped theater, right? Our Hartford Stage thrust is different than where it was first done in Denver. But and there's some changes.
No, we have different designers. We have a new cast member, and I just want to say, do you know who's known Alexis Shear a little bit longer than you?
Stephanie, because you
gonna
guys
say
went
it?
to you guys know each other from Miami,
We
right?
went to middle school and high school together.
And did you
yeah.
know, so did you stay in touch before you did this play?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so
I
that's
pretty
pretty
You know,
cool.
we didn't. I think she was living in Boston at the time, and I was living in New York. But we
Right.
would always check
Yeah.
in. But yeah, I mean, when I first auditioned for this play, I remember reading Madi and being like, "Oh, this is like I was like, this is a version of Alexis. And so, like, I can see it. I can hear her pattern of speaking,
Right.
and you know, and so. And we used to call each other twins, like in high school, so that
That's
it's just,
right.
you know, so it's like because we were dressed the same all the time and be like, what the hell? How did we get here?
What a
You know?
lovely thing to come full circle in this
Yeah.
way, that you're in a sense playing her doppelganger.
Yeah,
Right.
in a way. I mean,
Yeah,
she's,
no,
you
and
know,
then the
she's her
play
own
takes
beautiful
over.
person. But yeah, it's
What's
been
it
cool.
like now to be then revisiting, for you two and for you to revisit a play you've done before, and the world changes, you change, the play feels, I'm sure, different doing it now.
I'll go.
Go.
Well, first of all, having back the majority of the cast is such a rare thing to happen in theater. It is a rare thing to
We're
happen.
very lucky to have you all at
Oh my
Hartford
gosh,
Stage.
to be able to, that everybody was available, that we were asked, that it was just so, it was like, oh my God, because it was joyous to do. And the audiences loved it. It was just like, it was really lovely to do. So getting to do it again is, first of all, joyous. I keep saying that word, but it's joyous. It's also, I think, an amazing opportunity to bring some comedy and laughter to a time that, in my mind, might need it even more than when we originally did it, because there's a lot happening in the world right now. So to be able to step into a theater where you're in Miami, and there's beautiful colors, and people dress beautifully, and they're funny, and you're
It'll feel
also
warm,
moved,
right? It's going to
you
feel
know.
warm in there.
Yes, of course. And, you know, also just a chance to deepen something in a stage that's larger, literally larger. Like, we literally have more space. So you know how plants get bigger if you put them in a bigger pot? I'm like,
Oh, I
you
love
know,
that.
it's like, woo, we got more flowers are blooming because we got a bigger pot. So
Yeah.
And I should just say, we were going to do the entire original cast, but then Daniel Alonso, who originated the role of Caro, was not able to do it. So we recast that role with a wonderful Maria Victoria Martinez, you know, but I hold them both in my heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
Daniel is walking with us.
It's good.
Actually, because when we did this play the first time, the character Caro, who finds out she's pregnant, Danielle found out she was pregnant
Right.
after we cast her in Denver. So we went through that whole journey with her of her going, can I be an artist? Can I be a mom? Can I be an artist? So
That's a great.
Danielle's in the play.
I love what you say too about the deepening, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be, I think, certainly as a director, when I get to revisit something, I feel like, oh, I get to change some things and deepen things, and I understand things in a different way the second time. There's no, I mean, it just feels so amazing to me to be able to do
the first
that.
time you do it, you're generally like just trying to get the show up because
Right.
you've got 3 weeks and you're literally just trying to get the show up. And what's wonderful about revisiting it with the majority same cast is we've been digging.
Right.
We've been finding much more texture,
more richness.
much more depth, much more specificity. I don't know. What do you think, Steph?
No, yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I feel like usually when a show closes for me, like weeks later, I'll be like, that was that moment.
I have the same.
Up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I should have known that before, but I didn't. And so maybe the play's just been like rattling in my brain for 2 years because we come back to it. And of course, we're all slightly different. We've all learned a few things in the span of 2 years, you know. And I feel like it's so much more rich this time. I mean, the first time was great, but just feels like we're really tapping into something, and we're still in the midst of rehearsals, you know, but
Right.
it feels like we're tapping into a new layer of, undiscovered like territory where I'm like, oh, that's what that That's what that feels like.
And the space, I think, is really important. I'm so sorry.
No,
We
please.
talk on top of
We
each
all
other
talk
because,
over. That's
somos
the
latinas.
gift.
Así somos. But the space, that's what we guys have really, because when we were in Denver, and it was a great stage, it was a proscenium and a pretty shallow proscenium. So that had a different kind of comedy, right?
Yeah,
because we were on top of each other. But it's so wonderful to get those diagonals and to get the reach and to be able to move in ways that we weren't able to move in moments that really need the motion.
And wait till you experience, I will say, being in our theater and being close to you, the audience, it's a whole different relationship to a play. And my experience is for actors as well as for audience. There's the gift of live theater writ large. As you talk about more blooms, there's even more connection because I'm this close, do you know?
Yeah.
And so when you laugh or I laugh, there is a sense of connection, especially I think for a comedy. That's really, really special. Well, what do you hope an audience leaves thinking about? And I will admit that this is my least favorite question when I'm asked it. So you are allowed to say, I don't know. But it's interesting, right? Like when we think of a production, do we think, so I'll stop. What do you want the audience to experience during it or think about after? Either one.
I can speak on this a little bit, and it's personal.
Okay.
I'll speak on something personal. So I have a daughter. She's 21, and I was gone a lot working on shows. When she was a teenager, I was away a lot working on shows, and I stress about it. You know what I mean? I do think about it. And what I love on the show is that there has been a lot of damage and there is a lot of conflict. And these two characters kind of find a way back home that has to do with recognizing who not just a daughter and a mother, but who she actually is. You're able to see not who you want her to be or not who you wish she would be, but who she is. And you're able to see not who you want your mother to be, but who this mother is, who your mother is.
Great.
And that idea, because I think that's what as we move into a time when women are working and they will continue to work, that it's this idea of the cookie cutter mom and the mother-daughter relationship just doesn't exist anymore. Like a mother is an individual person and a daughter is an individual person. And so I hope everybody laughs a lot and wants to fly to Miami. And I also hope they see that actually you can reconcile by actually seeing one another.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was my answer. In my head, I was gonna say that repair is possible.
Yeah.
You know, that was gonna be, just because that's the thing that I really feel like we've been in this version, we've been tapping into a lot, is just like how we come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
One of our young board members, after hearing our season announcement last spring, when Maggie joined us on stage at the theater to talk about what we were going to be doing, said, Angel came up and said, it's like my favorite telenovela live on stage.
Oh, well,
right? So I will say, if you are a fan.
That's actually true.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, so that there's this element that is sort of the best of melodrama, a form I love, right? But very contemporary, very musical, in a very musical vocabulary of this moment. It feels totally fresh, but it harkens back to sort of all the great family plays and the sort of the essence of soap operas, of telenovelas, in the sense that it hits where family relationships get the most tangled and helps us untangle, right?
It's also kind of fearless in its passion. It's like, Estella is, she's a movie star who's sort of, you have the stereotype of a movie star who's Latina, is able to, have everything big. But there is something to be said for the Latinx sensibility of largesse-ness. That is
You're not
beautiful.
afraid to take up space.
It's fearless, exactly. Not afraid to take up space. And at the same time, and this is where this is another thing, when you return to a script, you see how well written it is because its ability to continue to grow. You're like, wow, that's really good writing.
Yeah.
Really good writing just keeps takes a beating and keeps on ticking or whatever.
That's
you know,
awesome.
keeps a licking and keeps on ticking. Even better. But and that adds to the comedy. You're not afraid to have that largesse and passion, but then also able to appreciate the most important moments are actually rather simple and quiet.
It's a great mix.
You know? So it's like,
I should also say there's 2 love stories in the piece. So we've got this mother-daughter relationship, and then we've got a woman who finds out she's pregnant, and then we've got Caro and Juan, and then I don't want to give it away, but there's one other love
There's
story.
one other love
So
story.
that's the
You
other
have to
thing.
come. You'll have to come see and find all 3 love stories: mother, daughter, parents, maybe to be. We'll see, and then the third, which we're not going to give away. So, well, that's pretty great, right? I mean, don't you wanna come spend time with these people? I know I do. Please come join us at Hartford Stage for Laughs in Spanish, a comedy in English. We're thrilled to be presenting this. We'll start previews, and you can find all the information at hartfordstage.org. Share this information, share the link to this. We hope to see you at the theater. Come talk to me in the lobby. I welcome you being at our theater, and I know you're gonna love this production. Gracias. Best to all of you, and see you at the theater.